Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a very big lineup of news to share with all of you today. Today's date is September 16th, 2025, and it's Tuesday. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. We have lots of big news to get into with this war update. We'll start out with a very big report out of Russia as overnight Ukrainian drones struck another oil refinery as Ukraine continues its months-long campaign destroying Russia's oil and gas industry. Let's talk about this new report here on your screen. Ukrainian forces struck the Saratov oil refinery. Huge fire reported. The refinery produces over 20 types of petroleum products, including gasoline, diesel fuel, fuel oil, bitumen, and more. The facility supplies the Russian military, according to Ukraine's general staff. So, huge attack overnight onto the Saratov oil refinery. This refinery actually came under attack back on August 10th, just about a month ago. At the time, it was reported that about 70% of the facility was on fire at the time, took on huge damage. Ukraine went ahead and struck it again overnight. This is a picture coming out showing at least two major fires that broke out on the facility. We'll talk about this, and I'll give you guys more details on this strike in just a moment. We also have information about a possible strike on another oil refinery located in the city of Kostovo in the Nizhny Novgorod region. I have pictures coming out that I can show you guys today. Also, Ukrainian agents launched an attack deep into Russia's far east in Vladivostok in the Primorsky Krai region. That's going to be far eastern Russia. Huge explosions heard at a military base and reports of Russian soldiers that have been eliminated. We also have very big stories out of Ukraine today, reports of major damages in Ukraine overnight. The Kiev region, Zaporizhzhia region, and Kharkiv regions taking huge hits from Russian drones. Lots of devastation and destruction reported inside of Ukraine today. So much news to cover. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Let me start sharing all the details with you guys today. Let's hop on over here to X with Drone Bomber. It says approximate flight routes of our UAVs. Red arrow indicates directions of strike UAVs. All route information is based on Russian sources. So here's our daily update showing the trajectory of drones going into Russia overnight. Not the largest attack we've ever seen onto Russia, but very effective, as over here in the Saratov region is going to be where the Saratov oil refinery is going to be located. I'd guesstimate probably 500-600 kilometers away from the border of Ukraine is where it's located here. Then also up in the Nizhny Novgorod region is where we have the city of Kostovo, where another oil refinery may have been attacked as well. I do have pictures coming out from that area showing an explosion that occurred, and then there was a major fire that broke out. So very possible we could have two oil refineries hit, but confirmed so far by Ukraine's general staff, the Saratov oil refinery has been hit overnight and is on fire. Aside from that, not many reports coming out from Russia in terms of these drone attacks overnight. Just wanted to share this picture with you showing the drones going into Russia. Now from Visioner, the Saratov oil refinery has joined the list of burning targets. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. The strike was carried out during the night of September 16th. Explosions and a fire were recorded in the area of the facility. The results of the strike are being clarified, the General Staff noted. The Saratov oil refinery specializes in the production of gasoline, diesel fuel, fuel oil, as well as various grades of bitumen, vacuum gas oil, and technical sulfur. In total, more than 20 types of petroleum products. In 2023, its processing volume amounted to 4.8 million tons. The Saratov refinery has been used to meet the needs of the Russian armed forces. So yeah, Ukraine's general staff confirming that this is an oil refinery that does directly support the Russian military. That's why they've gone after it numerous times this year. I don't know how many times we've reported attacks on the Saratov oil refinery, but definitely last month on August 10th, it got hit very hard. And as you can see, it was attacked at least two times here, major fire here, and also over here to the left. We've got Russian air defense teams also shooting up over here. You can see lots of tracers going to the skies during this ongoing drone attack. So it looks like multiple drones struck this facility, and we're still waiting for more details to find out the extent of the damage. But fortunately, that's the only video coming out from that area today showing it on fire. Now from Special Curse and Cat, firm shows fire traces on the territory of Saratov oil refinery after tonight's drone attack. So here's a little fire map coming out from NASA firms. They usually show where the fires broke out. in different areas of the world. So they're showing here at the Saratov oil refinery just on the southern side, a major fire broke out over here. So we're still waiting to see exactly what it was that was hit. Most likely something critical on this facility was hit. That's typically what we see with these drone attacks. But we'll wait for that information. Just wanted to show you this NASA firms map indicating that there was confirmed to be a major fire at the facility. Now Max 25, Nizhny Novgorod region, Kostovo, local residents reported about strike on an oil refinery. So here's pictures coming out, possibly in the area of Kostovo with that oil refinery. Cannot completely confirm, but mainstream news is picking this up today and reporting that there is a possibility that the Kostovo oil refinery came under attack as well. This is also a refinery that Ukraine has attacked in the past. So we'll wait for more information on that. If we get confirmation of that, I'll let you guys know in a later video. But it looks like we definitely got some fires that broke out over here from Ukrainian drones. This is going to be approximately closer to 1,000 kilometers deep into Russian territory. Now Vicegrad 24, breaking. Ukrainian agents embedded deep in Russia launch an attack on a Russian military base near Vladivostok in the easternmost part of Russia, killing several Russian soldiers. Large explosions could be heard at a military base housing the 155th Separate Marine Brigade, which is a unit guilty of severe war crimes in Ukraine. So I want to say it was just a week or two back, if you guys remember this, that Ukraine carried out a very similar attack on a Russian military base over here in Vladivostok. That's going to be way over next to North Korea in the Primorsky Krai Oblast. And Ukraine had carried out a strike before. There was a major explosion at one of the military bases over there. It looks like they did that again, and this is targeting the 155th Separate Marine Brigade. They're guilty of severe war crimes inside of Ukraine back towards the start of the war. And it seems like Ukraine is really trying to target this group over here, or this 155th Separate Marine Brigade, and targeting these military bases. So we do have more information on that. Here's a video coming out. Max 25, a series of explosions occurred in Vladivostok near the village of Zaporizhzhia, if I'm saying that right. A large number of vehicles and special services personnel arrived at the scene. Almost all cars are being stopped for inspection. Yeah, so something's going on over here. We've got special services showing up, police checking vehicles and seeing who's showing up in this area, because most likely Ukraine carried out a huge attack. There's probably some undercover agents were striking this military base. And again, huge explosion. We have reports of Russian soldiers being injured, possibly even killed over here. So still waiting for more details. Unfortunately, that's the only video coming out from this area today. And again, if I get more details on that, I'll give you guys more updates later. Now Max 25, strike on enemy personnel, including command personnel, has been confirmed, according to Ukraine's general staff. On September 8th, just about 1 week ago, 2025, AFU struck command posts of the Grouping of Troops Center and the 41st Combined Arms Army of the Ground Forces. Before that, on August 28th, the Minister of Defense of Russia, Belousov, visited the command posts of the Russian troops in Pokrov's direction. Shortly after his visit, the indicated locations of Occupation Army Command were successfully hit. So it looks like Ukraine's army was monitoring when the Defense Minister Belousov showed up in the Donetsk region in the occupied territories of Ukraine, southeastern side. When he showed up to hold meetings with some of the top command of the 41st Combined Arms Army of the ground forces of Russia, looks like Ukraine was able to monitor where he went and locate some of the command centers, carried out some strikes on September 8th, and destroyed some of these command posts. We have been hearing a lot of command posts being hit over there on the eastern side of Ukraine, primarily in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. So this is confirmation from Ukraine's general staff today that they carried out these strikes, destroying some of these command posts that are part of the Russian military that's operating in the Donetsk region. Now from Vicegrad 24, thick black smoke is rising in the Kyiv region after a strike by Shahed drones. I'll show you guys this video. So lots of strikes inside of Ukraine today, much more than we typically see. I've got probably 4 or 5 videos, if not more, to show you guys of destruction. Go ahead and take a look at this. All right, so not sure exactly what was hit over here, but we can see a major fire that broke out from Russian drones that were attacking the Kyiv region. Lots of attacks in Kyiv, Zaporizhzhia today, Kharkiv region. We got another video here now from War Translated. At night, the Russians attacked rescuers in the Kiev region while they were extinguishing a fire. In particular, as a result of a Russian drone attack, a fire broke out in the parking area of a shopping center. However, the Russians struck again while rescuers were already on the scene. So, as you can see, the Russians going after more civilian infrastructure inside of Ukraine and also, again, attacking the rescuers who show up, firefighters and emergency crews that show up on the scene. You're going to see major damage to one of the fire trucks here as it came under attack after these rescue workers arrived on the scene. Take a look at this. All right, so very horrible to have to report this kind of information, but we can see lots of rubble here and destruction. There's a vehicle there as well. Looks like a semi truck that caught on fire. And towards the end of this video, we can see this fire truck that took some damage. Look at the window all shattered there, most likely from another Russian drone coming in and trying to double tap the area. We see the Russians do this a lot. They'll strike one area, and then when rescue workers show up, they'll come and attack it again to try to kill the rescue workers that are trying to rescue people, many times trapped under rubble. Absolutely insane what the Russians do inside of Ukraine. Now from Jurgen Audit, footage of the aftermath of the Russian attack on the epicenter logistics center in the Kiev region. The building was completely destroyed. Here's another video of a huge warehouse that caught fire after Russian drones struck it. Take a look. All right, so not sure if this building had any connection to the Ukrainian military or not, but it definitely looks like a logistics center. You can see all these bay doors where semi trucks would be showing up to pick up loads and probably transport them around the country. So absolutely crazy. If this is a complete civilian facility, it's just more show here that the Russians continue to destroy Ukraine, destroying civilian infrastructure and the likes. We see this pretty much every day inside of Ukraine. Very horrible to report, but wanted to show you that there. Now from Ukrainian Review, in Zaporizhzhia, 2 people were killed and 14 injured as a result of a Russian attack on the city and the region. Here's more pictures coming out. Huge fires that broke out in the city of Zaporizhzhia. We've got buildings being destroyed, people's homes here. Huge fires, firefighters here on the scene, probably trying to rescue people that could be trapped under rubble. These are attacks more from Russian drones, once again, onto the city of Zaporizhzhia, which gets hit pretty much almost every week. Now, Anton Gerashenko, Russia's strike on Zaporizhzhia last night. 18 people were injured as of now. More people are asking for medical assistance with shrapnel wounds, concussions, and acute stress reactions. Residential building and vehicles damaged as per usual Russian tactics of attacking Ukrainian civilians. Can't say it more, and I have to agree with Anton Gerashenko here. Here's another video. We've got more semi-trucks being destroyed. These look like fuel tankers, and we've been seeing Ukraine doing a lot of this inside of Russia, destroying fuel tankers on trucks, fuel tankers on trains as well, destroying Russia's oil and gas industry like these oil refineries. So this is Russia retaliating here. Take a look. All right, so expect to see a lot more of this inside of Ukraine and Russia as both sides clearly attacking their energy facilities, energy sites. You can see an entire lot here full of these semi-trucks that were carrying these tankers completely destroyed. And it was just the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, had stated that Russia will not stop this war until they completely run out of fuel. So I think Ukraine is going to continue doing that. We're probably going to see these strikes continuing inside of Ukraine as well. All right, now from World Source News 24/7, it says breaking. A Russian drone strike hit the building of the National Pharmaceutical University in Kharkiv. Yeah, you heard that right. A university coming under attack by a Russian Shahed drone. This terrifying video is going to show this drone directly slamming into the building. Take a look. Extremely horrifying to watch this. This is something that happens up in the city of Kharkiv repeatedly. You can see all these people running away after the Shahed drone slams right into that building and it causes major destruction. Again, more reports that Russia continuing to destroy education centers, hospitals, all kinds of different critical infrastructure inside of Ukraine that is completely used as civilians, for civilians, that is. And we continue to see that. So, very sad to report that today out of Kharkiv. Now, for military news UA, the EU has postponed the presentation of the 19th package of sanctions against Russia, which was expected on September 17th, according to Politico today. According to the publication, the issue was removed from the agenda as Brussels and the Trump administration are increasing pressure on Slovakia and Hungary to reduce their dependence on Russian oil. It is not yet known when the package will be presented. So this is kind of bad news to hear that the EU is postponing the 19th package of sanctions on Russia. Clearly, we need more sanctions onto Russia sooner than later, right? But at the same time, right now, there's a lot of pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump onto EU leaders to force some of these nations like Hungary and Slovakia to stop purchasing oil from Russia. That way, the EU can also come in and put tariffs onto China to prevent them from purchasing Russian oil. And could that potentially put an end to the war? We'll have to see. So it looks like right now, because they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Hungary and Slovakia to stop them from purchasing Russian oil and get it elsewhere, they're trying to figure that out first before they unveil this new package of sanctions. So for right now, it is on hold, and unfortunately, I don't know until when. Now, Max 25, Zelensky says, Putin is trying to trick Trump. I am ready to meet with Trump and Putin without any preconditions, but not in Moscow. So Zelensky coming out today making a statement saying that he is open to meeting with Putin and also Trump as well. He's willing to have a trilateral meeting with them, but not in Moscow. He wants to meet somewhere else. So really, it's going to be up to Vladimir Putin to meet Zelensky elsewhere. But as far as we know, Putin does not want to leave Moscow. He wants to stay there, and he actually wants Zelensky to come to him. Zelensky already stated he will not be going to Moscow. So we'll have to see what's going to happen here. I've got several things talking about this today about a possible meeting between Trump, Zelensky, and Putin. So for Vicegrad 24, Zelensky sets a condition for ending the war. In an interview with Sky News, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that a ceasefire is only possible with clear and binding security guarantees, with the United States playing a leading role. Before ending the war, I want to have all agreements in hand. I want to receive a document backed by the U.S. and all European partners. This is very important. To make it a reality, we need a clear position from President Trump, Zelensky said. So Zelensky calling on Trump and saying, hey, we need clear security guarantees. How is the Trump administration and the U.S. going to support Ukraine so that way they can end this war? They've been talking about this for a long time. They need very strong security guarantees from the U.S., also from European partners in order to end it. So kind of reminding Trump that, hey, we need clear security guarantees before we can put an end to this war. We know that right now that the U.S. and also European partners are trying to push an end to this war, but there's still a lot of heavy lifting to do before we can get to that point. So that was a statement from Zelensky today. Now from Anton Yeroshenko, it says, question, Mr. President, what will you tell President Zelensky if you meet him in New York? President Trump responds, he's going to have to get going and make a deal. And Europe has to stop buying oil from Russia. They talk, but they have to stop buying oil from Russia. Here's video of U.S. President Donald Trump on the White House lawn speaking to reporters. Take a look.
Mr. President, what will you tell President Zelensky if you meet with him in New York?
Well, he's going to have to get going and make a deal. He's going to have to make a deal. Zelensky's going to have to make a deal. And Europe has to stop buying oil from Russia. Okay? They talk, but they have to stop buying oil from Russia.
All right, so mainstream news reporting today that very possibly soon, U.S. President Donald Trump could be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in New York. We'll see if that happens to take place, but they could be holding a meeting. On top of that, commenting on Europe and saying that Europe needs to stop buying oil from Russia. He stated this multiple times over the last week. We also heard from the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that the U.S. will not jump on board with sanctions against Russia unless Europe stops buying oil from Russia. So we'll have to see what the EU is going to do to put pressure onto especially Hungary and Slovakia, some of the major buyers of Russian oil right now. Now, Max 25, Trump says, Zelensky and Putin hate each other. It looks like I will have to sit in a room with them because they can't sit in a room together. So this is Trump kind of confirming to reporters today also that we could be seeing a trilateral meeting, that because Putin and Zelensky don't get along, is what Trump says. He might have to be there as well to kind of mediate and just be there to support both sides. We'll see if that's going to be the case. But again, it's going to rely on Vladimir Putin here to make the decision to come out of his cave in Moscow and actually go somewhere else. As we know, Zelensky will not be going to Moscow. And this is kind of like, imagine if Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky were to invite Putin over to Kiev. I highly doubt Putin would go to Kiev, right? So they got to meet somewhere else. It has to be somewhere else other than Russia and Ukraine. We'll see where they're going to meet, and very possible Trump will be joining them. Now, military news UA. The war in Ukraine will end in 2 to 3 months if Europe imposes tough tariffs on buyers of Russian oil. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reported today. Bessent stressed that the Trump administration will not increase sanctions against China and other buyers without similar actions by Europe. He also criticized European countries that continue to buy oil directly or through refining in India, effectively financing the war. Yeah, so very true. That's two major contributions to the Russian military, right? Hungary and Slovakia buying that oil directly from Russia. Then there are some European nations reportedly that are buying oil from India as well. That's also supporting Russia because India is buying oil from Russia and selling it on to other countries. So all these countries in Europe got to stop buying oil from Russia. And on top of that, that's when the U.S. will come in and impose some sanctions onto Russia, but they also want Europe to put tariffs onto China. So we're going to have to see what happens, but he claims that the war can end within 2 to 3 months if this gets achieved. Now, War Translated, Senator Graham has threatened Hungary and Slovakia with consequences over their purchase of Russian oil. Here's a report from Lindsey Graham today, a U.S. Senator out of South Carolina. He's also been very supportive of that major bill in Congress that has not been passed yet that could force 500% secondary tariffs onto countries like China, India, and Brazil for buying Russian oil. And it says here, President of the United States is right to demand that Europe stop buying Russian oil. The good news is that Europe has substantially reduced their purchases of Russian oil and gas. When it comes to buying Russian oil, it is now virtually down to Hungary and Slovakia. I hope and expect them to step up to the plate soon to help us end this bloodbath. If not, consequences should and will follow. So interesting, Lindsey Graham stating that there's going to be consequences for Hungary and Slovakia for purchasing this oil if they choose not to do so. I did see some unconfirmed reports today, some chatter on X that possibly Hungary's not going to stop buying Russian oil, so we're going to have to see what they officially decide to do. Haven't seen any actual reports coming out from Hungary or Slovakia yet from like the prime ministers, so we'll see what they state here in the next couple days. Now, War Translated, Ukraine's GUR released the components of the Shakhed. According to the GUR, inside the Russian Garand 3 Series U loitering munition, an analog of the Iranian Shahed 238, there are many foreign-made components of 45 identified parts. Half are from the United States, 8 from Chinese manufacturers, 7 Swiss, 3 German, 2 British, and 1 Japanese. So this is going to be a picture of the Russian Shahed drone. That is jet-powered. We've talked about these. Many of these are starting to fly into Ukrainian cities. Russia doesn't have too many of them, but they plan to try to switch to these at some point. And these are more effective because they fly much faster, harder to shoot down. And apparently, there's parts that are being found on these where they're coming from other countries, and that's not any surprise to probably most of us. This shows that a lot of the sanctions that are in effect right now are not working. Russia is still able to obtain a lot of different parts from different countries, even some countries in Europe. You can see here it says German, British, Japanese even, Swiss. I mean, just coming from everywhere. This is a brushless motor that was produced inside of the People's Republic of China. Manufacturer is going to be Sunny Sky. This is one of the motors that was found on these drones. So this clearly shows that sanctions are not working in the ways that they should be. Sanctions have to continuously be reintroduced. They got to look for loopholes and shut down the loopholes. So more sanctions are needed. So hopefully this whole plan to shut down Russia's oil economy with going after China, India, and things like that, hopefully that'll put an end to this war, because the sanctions that are in effect right now are clearly not working as much as they should be. Now, Visegrad 24, Poland will keep its border closed even after the Zapad 2025 exercises. The Polish Ministry of Interior and Administration issued a statement regarding the closure of the border with Belarus. It says, quote, "The closure of the Polish-Belarusian border remains in effect until further notice and is dictated by the need to ensure the safety of Polish citizens. Protecting our citizens is our priority. We emphasize that this decision is linked to the Russian-Belarusian Zapad 2025 exercises, but it does not mean the border will be closed only for the duration of the drills. Movement will resume once border security is fully restored, as confirmed by intelligence services." So it looks like Poland is not taking any chances with the Zapad 2025 military exercises that are expected to end today. They started on September 12th. Russian and Belarusian forces, I think somewhere around 30,000 troops could have been stationed on the western side of Belarus, close to the border with Poland. So that's why Poland closed their border just back last Thursday due to these exercises. And at least for right now, for a remainder of time, we don't know how long they will be keeping the border closed until they feel that it's safe enough to reopen it. Also from War News PL, says the prosecutor's office is concealing information about an unidentified flying object whose debris crashed into a house in Wyriki in the Lublin region. According to journalists from Rzeczpospolita, I might be pronouncing that wrong, that's a Polish news outlet, says it was a missile launched from a Polish F-16 that was attempting to shoot down a flying drone and experienced a malfunction in the guidance system. So apparently there's a story going around that there was a major explosion on somebody's home over here in the Lublin region, going to be in the eastern side of Poland. This took place during that massive drone attack that came from the Russians, that these drones were crossing through Ukraine and also from Belarus. There was like 23 drones or something like that was confirmed to go inside of Poland, many of them crashing into homes and just crashing in fields as well. So apparently there's a story that is getting covered up by the prosecutor's office inside of Poland, potentially, that we had destruction to a home, and this could have been due to a Polish F-16 missile that was attempting to shoot down a flying drone. So very big news there. If I get more reports, I'll let you guys know, but just a little update on the situation from last week after Poland came under attack by Russian drones. Now, Max 25, the drone that flew over government buildings in Poland was piloted by a 21-year-old Ukrainian and a 17-year-old Belarusian citizen that was a girl. So this was according to TVN 24. So this is an update regarding a report that I showed you guys yesterday evening, where we had reports of a drone, I think it was an FPV drone, that was flying over government buildings in Warsaw, the capital of Poland. And apparently we had two citizens that were being detained. It was, at the time, it was two Belarusian citizens, but now what's being reported is it was a Ukrainian and a Belarusian citizen that were flying these drones in an area that was restricted, where no drone flights were allowed. Just wanted to give you an update on this situation as well. There are two people that are in custody right now, 21-year-old Ukrainian and a 17-year-old Belarusian citizen. So that'll get interesting when we get more details on that situation. Now, Knoll reports Russian saboteurs disguised in civilian clothes attempted to infiltrate Yampil in the Donetsk region for sabotage operations in the rear. Some hid in houses and basements using civilians as human shields. Ukrainian forces carried out anti-terror measures, neutralizing the groups and restoring full control. So it looks like the Russians were trying to disguise themselves inside of Ukrainian-held territory in the Donetsk region as civilians. They were wearing civilian clothing, but these were actually Russian operatives in the city of Yampil in the Donetsk region. Apparently, Ukraine was able to locate some of these operatives or these saboteurs, and apparently they were using Ukrainian civilians as human shields, probably holding up in basements or inside of buildings, and they had to conduct terror operations to get rid, or anti-terror measures, excuse me, to get rid of these Russian operatives that were located in these areas. So this is just, again, more signs here that Russia is just really desperate to do whatever they can to infiltrate into Ukraine, as clearly the front line is very difficult for the Russians to get across. Now from next to India crossed the red line. Modi sent troops to Russia and Belarus exercises against NATO. India sent 65 troops to participate in the Zapad 2025 exercises, where Russia and Belarus are practicing war with NATO. Delhi's move is seen as an open challenge to the U.S. and Europe, especially given Modi's severance of ties with Washington. India risks exchanging billions of dollars in Western contracts for friendship with the Kremlin, but how long will this friendship last? Here's a report today. India crosses a red line by joining Russia-Belarus war games. Narendra Modi has sent troops to take part in these Zapad exercises, rehearsing conflict with neighboring NATO countries as relations with the U.S. unravel. Yeah, imagine that, because these Zapad 2025 exercises were pretty much Russian and Belarusian troops training for an attack onto NATO. This is India getting involved, sending 65 troops over there to practice these war games with Russia and Belarus. This is yet more show here that India is really starting to side with Russia, pull away from the United States, also siding with China as well. As we know that also India is continuing to purchase Russian oil, now getting involved militarily with these war games. Very crazy news. Now from Noel reports, overnight Russia launched 113 drones, including Shaheeds and Garan types from multiple directions. Ukrainian air defense downed or suppressed 89 of them across the country. Strikes hit 6 locations, with debris falling in 2 more. Zaporizhzhia was also hit by 10 Tornado-S rockets, causing casualties. So 113 drones going into Ukraine overnight. Looks like no missiles were being fired based on the reports today, but we did have some rockets, some tornado rockets that were fired into Zaporizhzhia. That's where we had a lot of damages over there. I was showing you guys some videos earlier. So definitely some damages reported inside of Ukraine overnight, even though it's just about 113 drones. I mean, typically when we see these kind of numbers, we don't see a whole lot of damage inside of Ukraine, but it looks like a lot of these drones were able to strike critical targets inside of Ukraine with major destruction. Now from Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of September 16th, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. Now our final update, Russia's losses as of September 16th, 910 troops, 5 AFVs, 72 vehicles and fuel tanks, 0 tanks, 26 artillery systems, 310 UAVs, and 2 MLRS. Looks like that is it here. So 2 MLRS launchers being destroyed again. It's crazy that pretty much every day we're seeing at least 1 or 2 of these for probably like 2 weeks now. We used to see for a long time this category would be 0 here, so 2 were destroyed overnight. Artillery systems, about average numbers here. Tanks and AFV, still very low numbers. Vehicles and fuel tanks, about average what we see there. Same with troop losses. So again, still not a whole lot of fluctuation here, as we just heard probably about a week or 2 ago that the Russians were going to be carrying out more offensives, especially in the Donetsk region as they try to capture the Donbass. We're still not seeing major numbers here going up in terms of Russian losses, and I would expect to see that if the Russians were carrying out more attacks. So it looks like not too much destroyed here on the Russian side. But I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in for today's update on September 16th, 2025 on Tuesday. Hope you guys all have a great day out there. Take care and be safe. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.